is it worth the hours?
It's a really good question. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it is, look, I mean, it's something that, like, I enjoy the business that I'm in. I really have. It's something that I'll probably do for the rest of my life. But there's a sacrifice, man. Look, you know that. I mean, you're a family man. There is a sacrifice when you grind and when you spend those type of hours. Look, man, I'm there 12 hours a day sometimes. And so there is a sacrifice. There is a lot of excitement, but there is a sacrifice. The John Baroni Podcast.
I've watched it, and it's like, man, you're like, hey, I'm sorry about your car. We're gonna get it in service, but it's like you didn't jump for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's geez, yeah. The years I've been in this, it's been a lot. So I've had a lot of ass chewings. I've had a lot, man. I'm used to it. So I don't know how much.
You're good at your service. I mean, I'm saying that, but it's kind of that customer service. So if you get that one-star review, it doesn't really nowadays even like reply back and say. I always tell people, like, you get a 1-star review in your business, reply back.
Yeah.
Reply back and be like, hey, I can fix this. Mm-hmm. But if they drag it on.
Well, no, and I normally do. I stay on top of stuff like that because, look, I mean, the main thing is I want people to be happy. When they purchase a car or they do something like that, I want them to be happy. Look, I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to make everybody happy, dude. I'm telling you something. It is hard, super, super hard. But man, let's just listen to their concerns and listen to, obviously, their issues and just try to take care of it. So it's hard, man. It's tough.
So Ron, why the auto industry? What made you get into the auto industry?
Oh, geez. That's a long story, man. So you may start from the beginning?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
All right.
Do you want to go ahead and drop your, how do you pronounce your name? We just got done saying this.
I know, right?
So my name is Duron. It's pronounced Derwin, I think.
Derwin.
I don't really count them as family. I kind of do. But Duron is how we say it. How do you say your name?
Baroni. Ryan Baroni.
He's Italian, guys.
Italian. Yep, very Italian.
Loves only cheese pizza.
I like pepperoni.
Okay.
I like pepperoni. Pepperoni's good. So you put a little meat and bacon on there too. So
all of it. Okay, there you go.
But no, so I started in the car business. Actually, I would probably seem to think 2004. I think is when I really, really started. So I was actually at Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, and a good friend of mine, he had his little used car lot in Petal, Mississippi, and it just intrigued me. Like he was driving, cars home every day, used cars, used car lot. And it just intrigued me. I was like, man, how are you driving all these new cars, used cars home and stuff? Well, he's like, well, I have a used car lot, so it's like, let me learn a little bit more. Like, I want to learn a little bit more about like your business and what you do. And so just hanging around him. And then he brought me to the auction in Hattiesburg one time, and I just got hooked. Like that's really what hooked me. That was back in, 2004. I'm pretty sure it was around 2004. And when did Katrina happen?
06,
06. Okay. I'll get to that story in a second. So I had a paid for expedition, Ford Expedition that I had in college. And I remember calling my dad. I was like, Dad, let me have the title for the expedition. He's like, wow, why do you need the title for your expedition? And I said, well, I'm gonna get in the car business. He's like, well, car business? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean car business? So I was like, well, I'm gonna sell it and I'm gonna buy some used cars. And he's like, all right, that's fine. So I went and took it to the auction, sold it, took the cash, and I bought 2 vehicles. I think I bought like a Pontiac Grand Prix and an Oldsmobile Alero or something like that. Off the money that I made, off that, and I put them on his lot and I sold them. And I was like, I probably made $1,000 a car or something like that. I was like, holy crap! Like I was a broke college kid. We would donate plasma to go drink at 25-cent a liquor night at Mugshots, back before it burned down years ago in Hattiesburg. So like I had never had any type of money like that, as growing up in college. And I just got hooked, and we just started, and I was flipping them. We were taking them, we were selling them, and just flipping them, and just kind of just grew, and so we did good for a while. And then Katrina happened. So the car business got really, really bad, obviously, during Katrina. and especially on the coast. And so we bought, me and my partner, so we bought some diesel trucks, and we were hauling FEMA campers for a little while, and they were paying really, really, really good money. We did that for a while. We were hauling FEMA campers to Purvis, that big yard that they used to keep them on Purvis. So we did that for a while. He ended up getting out of the business, and I ended up at selling cars at a Toyota store in Hattiesburg, and I was there for a while, and that was my start, man. So started selling cars and at an early age. So that's where I started.
So when you were, do you remember your first like big check at Toyota?
Oh yeah, no, I think my first day of actually employed there, I sold a car. I sold it was a Corolla. It was a new Corolla to an older couple. And I was just hooked, after that. Like it was my first, retail, like new car, experience. And, I just got hooked. I think my first month I made like $2,500 or something like that. And I had never really seen that much, that type of money, before. And, I just got hooked, and I stayed there for a long time, and I sold a lot of cars in Hattiesburg.
What was your biggest month when you were like just starting out?
Probably, oh geez, that's been a long time ago, 05, 06, 07, 6-7 grand maybe, back then that was a lot, but it took me a long time to get to that, that dollar amount. Cause we had a lot of salespeople on the floor, and, it takes you a long time to build that type of cluster.
But how'd you do it? So I started at Group 1 and Pat Peck, probably a little right after that, Tom. But it was the craziest thing was I just stood out in the parking lot, and then a lot of these veterans that just everybody knows me, so you got to wait on the veteran, especially the used car guys. The used car guys are like, well, I'm gonna get the first up because I have seniority. Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I stood out in the sun. Every time a car came, I was with the Group 1. And that's when they bought Pat Peck. I forgot what year that was. But that was fascinating for me. Like, but that's how, like, I was just hungry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, like, I got bit too. Like, I got bit when I remember doing a 2-car used car deal, and it was a $13,000 on both cars. It was $13,000. I sold 2 used, a Maxima and an Infinity, the Armada version.
Yeah.
So a pastor
QX80.
Yeah, it was 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a $13,000 deal. I can't remember how much I actually made on that, but it was pretty big. But it was that kind of hunger. Like I would just sit on the pavement. Like, cause I'm not gonna sit in the office and stand around. Like when I do go to a car lot, I'll tell you this one thing is like when you see the guy just sitting at the desk. If they're doing now it's probably different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it definitely is.
But I love being on that curb. Tell you, man.
I did. I mean, we obviously back then we would call them lot lizards. I was a lot lizard. You had to be. We had like 15 salespeople on the floor.
We didn't have we didn't have Instagram and Facebook.
Oh no. Yeah, you had to work. You definitely had to work. Back then. Because we had, like I said, we had as new salespeople, obviously starting off new. You had to work off a lot because you didn't have a customer base, you didn't have a clientele base, and it got to where the longer I stayed there and the more years that I took care of my customers, and that was one of the biggest things that, and even to this day, still being in the business as long as I take care of them. And so I started selling families and started selling friends, and I was selling family multiple cars. And so my business just grew. And to where I didn't have to be that lot lizard. I didn't have to just stay out in the sun or the cold and stuff like that every day. I didn't have to, because I had built a book of business that I didn't have to, So I worked really. It took me a long time. Many years.
How long does that usually take?
Years. It takes you years. Because obviously now, what the average person keeps a car for what, 3 years. So it takes a long time to kind of get that repeat business, but you got to work at that, because you have to know who your previous customers are. You've got a customer that comes out of say if you sold them a car 3 years ago, you need to call those customers, and say, hey, this new model's out. It's got, back then, it's got Bluetooth, or the technology we have now wasn't even thought about back then. So it's this thing's got navigation, or this thing's got this or that. So and to get people out and get them to trade out. So you had to work. We worked really hard for that. to do that. And,
when you start doing cold call, like, so was it your first or second year when you really got into doing the cold calling? Like, that cold calling was always scary to me.
Yeah, it was. Look, when I started, my old owner, he was an old school guy, and so his biggest thing was pick the phone book up, pick the phone book up and call. And that's really scary, because I'll tell you want to learn rejection. You want to learn how to get rejected and how to get, how to handle pissed off people. Start calling people in the phone book, asking them to buy a car from you. You'll learn rejection pretty quick. You know what I'm saying? So, and we did that for a while.
And you really felt you did the phone book?
Yeah, we did for a little while. And then that's kind of when, anybody that's out there in the car business will kind of understand what a CRM is. A CRM is a database that they store and log all your customers. And so that's really when the CRM started getting really big. So we had a CRM, which like I said, it stored all of our customers. And so it gave you an avenue to, you're not really cold calling a whole lot of just random, Smiths and, and random, Johnsons in the phone book. Like, you have people that actually bought cars from you to call. And then we started getting internet leads. The internet leads started to get really big. So then you started getting customers that would come in or send you a lead that was interested in a car. So it just made it a little bit easier. The transition and the change in the car business back then, it was phenomenal.
CRM still a big thing?
Oh yeah. We use it every day. 100%.
So when I started doing with Group 1, I had a guy named Pat. You might know him, which I love him now.
Mm-hmm.
But he was at Nissan for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably still at Nissan. But he got in my CRM when I started. Like, he was a salesman,
mm-hmm.
but he actually had like a password or a login where I would get these leads. They all give you leads to call,
mm-hmm.
follow up, like, just customers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he started getting in as the manager.
Yeah.
Well, to find out he wasn't a manager.
Yeah.
And then he was 50-50 split on my deals. And his name's Patrick.
Yeah.
And we know Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I really started. And I remember being in the fishbowl at doing a deal, and I was like, "Hey, dude, this is my customer." No, I got half of that. I said, you were inputting on my business,
mm-hmm.
saying and now you're getting a percentage, and you're not even a manager. That was Snake.
Yeah.
The Snake was a salesman at the first, but I mean, I love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who he is, because that fishbowl moment was like,
mm-hmm.
my dad always told me this two things. Guys, I think my dad started in glass motors in the 90s. My dad, Scott Duron, very respectful salesman. I grew up in this business, but that was kind of like one of them things that I had to learn. I was like, okay, why is he getting half my deal?
Yeah.
In the Snake, and I was like, and I started standing up for myself, because like my dad's always said it to me, he's like, stand up for, like, he's always been like, you got to stand up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, this is not you're not getting my deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not getting my deal. And he's like, what? And I was like, you're not, like, you are inputting as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of once I laid my ground,
mm-hmm.
my life got easier. It was so tough being a salesman. It was so tough getting in the car business. And like, I remember, doing my first few deals, it was tough. It was hard. It was so hard, because I felt like I had the salespeople, we're a family, but we're all against each other.
Yeah. No.
And it really, I just kind of seen my dad's style,
mm-hmm.
how to just go out there and get wild about it. And I'm grateful to watch that. But to see the yellow book though, I would probably never done that.
Oh, dude,
I probably never come to the phone book.
Right. It's scary.
Really,
I'm telling you something, man. It's scary. It is.
So you started at A.
Well, yeah, you got, dude. Well, I would be like, all right, I'm not starting at this last name. I ain't calling this last name. I'm gonna go, I'm not calling this. If it was like an Italian last name, I'm not calling that, because I'm gonna get cussed out. But no, you learn rejection. But it taught me a lot in the business. You got to have some cojones to just start calling random people, and especially back then, but now, our CRMs are obviously designed a lot different, because we call them skate proof, so you can't technically jump on somebody else's deal and stuff like that. So the technology's obviously changed.
It's so cool though. Like, my experience, I was, that's why I wanted you to come on the show, because I want to know like how you went from salesman to, GM.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, your industry's, it's a tough industry.
Man, look, I've been through, recession, COVID, I mean, you think about it, anything that has changed the car business. I mean, I've been through it. I've been through it. Obviously when I was with VW, the whole Dieselgate stuff, like there's been some hills to climb. Well, when VW lied about their emissions, they that was a big thing. It cost them billions and billions of dollars, and VW customers, we had a lot of them that were pissed off, and they got rid of their cars because they said that they lied to the EPA about the emissions, and there was a lot of pissed off customers about that, man. That was tough for the business, especially where we were, so it was, yeah, I've been through it, man. Like I said, the recession was tough. I was young in the car business. The recession in 2008, you remember the cash for clunkers?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. All that stuff after the recession. I mean, I've been through it all, man.
What's that? I mean, so cash for clunkers, that was just to bring people in.
Yeah. Well, it was so virtually the government was paying stupid thousands of dollars for these like shitbox SUVs. You think like this old big piece of crap Suburban, like they wanted those vehicles off the road. They did. And so they were paying people just stupid money for those things, stupid money for them. And so what we had to do as a dealership is if we traded for one, we actually had to file, and we couldn't sell the car. We would set it off to the side, and we filed with the government, and they would actually come get the car and they would pay us back for them. Yeah. It was wild, man. It was a wild time in the car business.
So
it was wild.
So if you brought your like Tahoe,
yeah, I'd say it's like a 1994 Tahoe, like it's probably worth $500. I mean, they give you thousands of dollars for it. It was just, they wanted it off the road. Anything like that had really bad, gas mileage and emissions and stuff like that, they wanted it off the road. So yeah, it was, it didn't last long because a lot of people took advantage of it. So
I forgot about that one. That one just woke me up again.
Yeah. No, so that, that was back obviously during when I was selling cars, and so I sold for a while, and I had an opportunity to go into management, and so I actually moved to McComb, Mississippi, and I took an internet manager position at a Dodge store, and I was there for probably 6 months, but I knew I wanted to do finance. That was really kind of my next step into my.
Well, what is finance like in the auto industry? Like,
well, as a finance manager, business manager, you call it a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different titles, but the person that technically handles your paperwork, the person that takes care of your loan, does all your paperwork, offers you products, like extended warranty gap, stuff like that. Like it's hard to climb that ladder. I'd always knew that I wanted to be a general manager. I always wanted to own a dealership one day. That's always been my goal of that. But you got to climb the ladder in the business. You got to learn all the positions to be able to. You can't. It's hard to manage. It's hard to manage somebody if you don't know how to do their job. That's one of the things that I look at every day, even today. You can't manage somebody and tell them how to do their job if you don't know how to do their job. Yeah. And so I've done about every position in a car dealership. From service writer to salesperson, to sales manager. So I mean, really.
So I look at the same way with like me. I still own a Janking franchise. I'm about to make almost. I think I'm about to make 18 years with it. Yeah. And I don't really have that many accounts. I have loyal account, like the accounts I've always had. Mm-hmm. But it's like, to me, it keeps me like it keeps me grounded. Yeah. So I pick up after people. Mm-hmm. And that kind of inspires me. But when I pick up after people, the whole time I do audiobooks. Mm-hmm. So I do at least an audiobook a week. Yeah. Yeah. And so I take the time to like do the cleaning business. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'll ever I know that me and Emily are talking about like me getting out of it, but I just don't see it because it's kind of like me going to school. Yeah, yeah. It's like learning. It's like learning about how to treat people. Yeah, yeah. Because that's important too. But I like that you went straight internet manager, so you know how to do that job. Yeah, you know how to do sales. Mm-hmm. I know you've watched car too.
I mean, as a salesperson, yes. Now, I've not technically worked in a detail department, but yes, as a salesperson, man, look, there's many a times. you got a late deal, you know.
You better I've done it. I've done it.
Oh, absolutely.
Car wash, go down the road.
I've done it. I've done it as a manager. I've done it as a general manager. If I've got a late deal and it's Saturday night, detail department's closed, customers from out of town, like I'm gonna take that car back there and clean it. I'm not above anybody. Yeah. I'll do whatever I got to do.
So what is what is the dealership that you do want to own one day?
It's hard to say, obviously. Any
no, but your favorite, brand, your favorite idea of the dealership.
Well, look, I can tell you, obviously where I'm at now, Mazda is a phenomenal product, man, and I think Mazda is a gaining brand that is gaining market share every day. Every day, it's gaining market share. So. That would be obviously an exciting dealership. Obviously everybody say, I'd like the Mercedes store or something, or something big Highline big dealership. But, you got to look at what market share is. And so, that's one of the biggest things. Cause you can own a dealership, but it's not profitable and you're not selling cars. It's only going to hurt you. So back to the story. So I was an internet manager in McComb, Mississippi. So I was actually in line for the finance manager position there, and I kind of got passed over. I was told that I was going to get the position, and I didn't get it. So as an internet manager, all I did was I took all the inbound internet leads and I worked them. We didn't really. Sometimes I would pass some of them out to salespeople, but that's normally how I would take them. I would set their appointments, get them in, work a lot of the deals online, and then a lot of times I would just pass them out to the salespeople. So obviously I would get paid obviously off of productivity and appointment show rate and stuff like that. So, but I didn't really like it. It's not really something that I didn't really desire to do. I wanted to do finance. And so I was excited. I'm thinking I'm going to get this opportunity. And they passed on me. And so I was like, okay, it just wasn't my calling, at the place. And I had a guy that just bought a Ford store in Macomb. Great guy. Super guy. Guy is Keith White Ford, and phenomenal owner. And he reached out to me and he said, hey, look, I just bought this Ford store. The store he bought was, it was a shit box. I don't even remember the Legacy Motors or something like that. I don't think they sold like 5 cars a month or something like that. It was pretty bad. So, he reached out and gave me an opportunity, and he was like, Ryan, has you ever done finance? I was like, well, I've toyed around with it, but I have the ambition. I'm young, I'm energetic. Let's go. I'll learn it and I'm going to do really good. And I did good for a while. I really did. I enjoyed it. I stayed there for probably about a year. Had a little bit of life change, and ended up moving to Macomb, Mississippi. And I took a finance position over there in Mobile. Moved to Mobile and ended up taking a finance position over there. I kind of chased some of my college buddies. They were partying and living it up in Mobile, and I had an opportunity to go over there. And so I ended up going to Mobile and did a finance position over there, and stayed there for a little while. And I made the decision to move to the coast, and I've been here ever since. So, kind of jumped around a little bit, but, young in the business.
What was your first coast job?
So I started, I had an opportunity to go to a couple different places, but I ended up going to the Chevrolet store, which at the time it was called Press and Hood. And so I went there for a while, and I enjoyed it. It was good, but then I had an opportunity, which your dad was there, to go to VW, and I took that position, and you know where that ended up. So, but yeah, no, I was, that's what got me to the coast was that one.
So you have before you got to the coast, it's a lot of experience, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. And I was, I
it's
would
kind of fascinating. I'm not like, this is to have an understanding of like the work that went behind, like you getting to your position now, like you didn't just like start one day and became.
No, it's a lot of grind. It was a lot of grind. It's many years of grinding to get, it's not hard. It's hard to get those positions, but it's even harder to keep them. Look, in finance, it's a performance based position. And so you got to grind to keep those positions. But I had bigger ambitions, my goal was to be a sales manager. And then obviously
What's the difference between finance, sales manager, and GM?
Well, so the finance manager obviously takes care of your finance paperwork. And then so the sales manager is the one that's, really in charge of the sales department. There's obviously a sales manager wears a lot of hats. Now you can be a new car sales manager, you can be a used car sales manager, or you could just be just a regular sales manager that does them both. It just depends on really where you are. But the sales manager obviously desks the deals, they appraise the cars, they train the salespeople, and stuff like that. So the sales manager wears a good bit. They wear a lot of hats, they really do. To where really on finance, you're just more drowned into, that one position of, getting the deals submitted, getting the deals approved, making sure all your paperwork, making sure you're compliant, because you got to be compliant. That's one of the biggest things with F&I, with finance, is you have to be compliant, and making sure that, you do everything legally. Everything has to be legally compliant and all that stuff. So, and it's also your job to generate income for the dealership, and that comes off of obviously, extended warranties and gap, prepaid maintenance, stuff like that. So, which are all great things, it really, really is, but you have to, you're focused on really that as a sales manager. You've got a lot of different hats. You got to wear a lot of different hats. Some people can't be both. You may have a good finance manager, but he's not going to be a good sales manager. Or you may have a good sales manager that'll never be a good finance manager. So it's hard to find somebody that actually can do both, that can wear multiple hats, that has that ability to do that. Now, general manager of the store is like the title. It's a general manager. You oversee fixed operations, which is service department, parts, sales, finance. You're over all the departments. You're overseeing the financial statements. You're overseeing, everything from detail to financial statements in a dealership. So you get a lot of hats when you're a general manager. You have a lot of responsibility and you got a lot of hats. So
when you have, like, say, a person just become a new sales, if you look at the new car way, you bring in a lot of new salesmen.
Mm-hmm.
It's their first year. So I'll start it at Nissan. But do you get proud when you watch them develop?
Oh yeah,
and watch them go from one car a month to 10.
100%.
And you see them making money and their families grow. And
yeah, no, 100%. And I see a lot of them in myself. Obviously, because I can sit back and think hey, I remember when I first started. And look, I'll backtrack a little bit. I actually told this story a couple of days ago to one of the guys that a good friend of mine. So I worked for. The car business was a lot different, obviously, back then, as far as how people were treated, how you can treat somebody. And I worked for guys that were really hard, like really, really hard to work for. They, they scream at you, yell at you, but that was the business back then. Not saying they're, bad people, but that's just what the business was back then. It was hard. I mean, it was rough, it was really, really rough to do that. But luckily, I mean, I was a young person. I could take heat. I can take, somebody saying this or saying that. But what it did is it taught me how to not manage, and I always remember saying that towards the end of my selling career, I'm never going to manage that way. I never will. And to this day, I don't. I don't manage that way. One of my biggest things that I strive on every day is to make sure that everybody is successful. And, you can't expect everybody to learn this business in a day. I mean, it's taken me, 15 plus years, to learn this business, and I still learn it. I still don't know it all.
I love the fact that I love the fact that you call that out.
Oh yeah. I don't know it all, dude. This business changes every day, bro. Every day, man, it changes. So you have to learn, how to, look what we're going through right now. You come off of COVID, you have no inventory, and then all of a sudden now you're flooded with inventory. So you gotta change how you market. You gotta change how you advertise. You gotta change how you do things different. What, a year ago? So that business changed that hard in a year. You know, you have to learn how to change and adjust in this business. And I had a new salesperson that just started with us, and I talked to him a couple of days ago in my office, and I told him, I said, look, I said, I'm going to teach you to be the best salesperson that you can be. But I said, one thing that I want you to listen and understand is if you ever think that you know it all, you're never going to work out, because you have to have that in your mindset and in your vision, that you can never think that you're going to know it all. Doesn't matter if you've been in this business for a day or 30 years, because you're never going to know it all, because it's going to change. It's just going to change, man. So that's really what I want. And I want all my guys to make sure, and gals to make sure that they're successful.
You don't know do you want a secret though? Like I got out of this, got out of the sales thing. It was, my dad, that was my dad's thing. So I want to do my own thing. I want to separate it because, which I'm proud of you, Dad. An amazing guy, like just absolutely hard as gold. But I got out, but one thing I did learn from him is product knowledge.
Yeah.
And doing the insurance agent, I got my insurance company. It's like, people are like, what are you fascinated? It's like, learn your product, guys. Yeah. If you're getting into sales, I guarantee Ryan's looking for a salesman, but you got to know your product. You got to study your product. Even if you're selling new, used, or whatever, you got to research the car. Now you got YouTube. So type in the car, the Mazdas. Yeah. Yeah. Now, but guys, Mazda gives you products and teaches you what all their features are, their trims are, their motors. You know that. I remember when I started learning that, I would sell Ultimas like it was nothing. I would sell 350s like it was nothing, because I knew the motor specs, I knew the trim line, and people enjoyed that when they went to the lot.
Well, so I've really implemented a lot of things in the sales process that I know that a lot of customers respect that, and obviously I hear a lot of the feedback, and I go and I touch every customer that comes in the showroom, whether they buy a car or not. I do like to go talk to them, find and just kind of either congratulate them for buying a new car from us, or just thank them from coming in. And a lot that doesn't happen at a lot of stores. It just doesn't. And I implemented a big thing that I firmly believe in is we do a thing called a needs analysis, like a needs assessment. So what that means is, say, for instance, if you come in and you're looking at a car, and you buy, most people buy a car once every 3 to 4 years. So you don't know a lot about the process, because, like I say, it changes. A lot of things changes. You got to think. I mean, if you bought a car 4 years ago versus now, look how different the interest rates have changed. So the values have changed. So a lot of things have changed. So we do a thing. It's a needs analysis. So what it does is you're asking customers questions. You're finding out what they're looking to accomplish. What are you looking for? Car, SUV, truck. What do you're asking those questions to help them put them on the right vehicle. Find out what they're looking for, because it's a little overwhelming. And I mean, I bought things before in my life, boats and cars and campers, stuff like that. We don't buy every day. So if you just show up, you kind of know what you're looking for, but maybe you really don't. So if if the salesperson asks the right questions and they really, really dig down and just find out, we're here to help them. That's one of the biggest things that I want to implement to these guys, that we're here to help you find the right car and make sure that you're taken care of. And it really shows, because we have a lot of happy customers, that leave our lot. That's like, yeah, y'all really took care of us. You put me on the right car, you helped me find the right car, and stuff like that. So, I'm a firm believer in that. Anywhere I go, I'm always going to implement, that policy. So I think it just takes care of the customers. It really helps them, because it could be overwhelming. You show up to a dealership that's got, 300 cars or 200 cars or whatever. You might be looking for this, but you might see this, or so it's definitely it helps. So I push a lot of those processes, to take care of customers. So that's the biggest thing.
Do y'all implement the I remember at the Group 1, what used to be Pat Pack Nissan, they'd always do the win a key or send a key out, the mailers.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still do them nowadays?
Some people do. Some people do we call them road sales or mailer sales, and some people do. Now we did that when I was in Macomb and at the Ford store. We did that. And it was interesting. It was interesting because you get a.
I sold, so this, you're gonna laugh at this. So I did when I was. This is one of my best sales ever. So that was you come in, and you get a free camera.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so tired one day. Like I just remember I didn't get to eat, and I was just frustrated. And I just knew that like I was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Saturday, so I had Saturday night with the boys, and I remember. I'm telling you, I was like just burnt. I was like, "Who's coming here for the camera?"
Yeah,
and they all had the flyers, and I stood it up, and I said, "Who's interested in buying a car?" And it was they're like I had one person that wasn't, and then I had two that kind of were.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I said, "Come on," and I brought three to my table.
Yeah,
I brought three people to my table, and we went, and I sold 2 cars that night.
Yeah, yeah.
But I told them, because when you give the mailers, you do this process, you get the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really ain't a gimmick. They actually got the camera. So I got them, gave my numbers, said, call me, make sure you got the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so cool though. Because they just knew. I was like, really look, I traded a guy from an old Ford truck he didn't really like and put him in a Titan.
Yeah.
It was what was the 4x4 one? The Pro X4.
Yeah, Pro 4X.
Pro 4X.
Yeah.
Got him in a new one of that. I got a new when they had the Versas. Right when the Versas came out, I got a girl in a Versa.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did work, but you should have seen them. I had one person in my cubicle, me sitting there, 3 people with these flyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had to control that. They came fast, man. I remember that when these mailers. I'm telling you, man,
they used to work many years ago. I haven't been around those in many years, but so I don't know. I don't know if people still do them. I'm not sure, but yeah, I've seen some stuff. Like I tell you, I was at a dealership that used them numerous times, and you'd see people fighting. I mean, it's just like, you'd think like Black Friday in Walmart almost. It's just crazy. People fighting and lines and just it brings excitement. I'll tell you that. It definitely
remember
does.
when I was working with you at Volkswagen, and I always encourage people to do their own videos with cars. Mm-hmm. Has that really caught on with that now with the guys?
Well, video is really good right now because a lot of your CRMs, a lot of your CRMs actually have the video process into that, so you can actually say, for instance, if you get a lead and they're looking at Ford truck, and so you can actually do a video of yourself with the truck. Hey, this is the truck you're looking for. This, that, and there. Here's the features, and send it straight to the customer from the lead. So as like a text message or an email. So the technology has gotten. Technology has gotten really, really good. We didn't have anything like that when I was selling cars.
I'm curious.
Yeah, we didn't have anything like that when we were selling cars.
I got to use the restroom. We'll be right back to you. Now we're back from the restroom break that I just took. I want to know something. The excitement, is it worth the hours?
It's a really good question. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it is, look, I mean, it's something that, like, I enjoy the business that I'm in. I really have. It's something that I'll probably do for the rest of my life. But there's a sacrifice. Man, look, you know that. I mean, you're a family man. There is a sacrifice when you grind and when you spend those type of hours. Look, man, I'm there 12 hours a day sometimes. And so there is a sacrifice. There is a lot of excitement, but there is a sacrifice. There definitely is. So that's a double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? That's a double-edged sword. But I enjoy it. Like I say, I love it. I love what I do. I'll always love what I do. But you got to know that there's a sacrifice into that, family, friends, free time, stuff like that. You lose a lot of that stuff. You really do. So, yeah, I would say yes and no. I would say yes and no. So,
because like I'll shout out to my boy Mike West, Tract Auto, and you're at J. Allen Mazda. It's one thing Mike West though has instilled in me is what we're talking about. For me, is like I like having beverages, I like having drinks. He has none of that.
Yeah,
he has none of that, and he's just. Of course, that has to do with his little boy. Like he's got some personal stuff that he really conquers, but he gave all that stuff up to focus on, that grind of his dealer, like his lot, his dealership.
Yeah.
And it is normally, he told me it's like one day it's like 12 hours is like that's what you got to do. Like that is just you just do it.
Yeah,
every day.
You got to put in the work to make the results.
Always though.
And that's in any life. Family. Anything. You have to put. You got to put that work in your family. You got to put that work in your career. And so it's
all work though, right?
It's work, man.
And I'm learning that too. I'm where I move my work is. Being a better father has been a big thing for me. Is especially getting Oliver in skateboarding, and spending the time to really find his style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because being a dad is tough, and because number one, you gotta not be selfish.
Yeah.
TV shows. If I see another Coco Melon,
oh geez,
jeez. Like,
luckily, I went through that stage. Yeah. I went through that stage. But no, it is very tough, man. And obviously, look, the most important thing in my world is my daughter. And so we just got to cherish those moments that we have with her. But me and you both are very alike because we have a lot of that.
But hold on, let me finish on with Mike real quick though.
All right,
that is the purpose of grind. Like you were saying earlier, like you got to work hard.
Yeah.
And that's what same thing Mike always talks about. Like you got to work hard. Doesn't matter. You got to just work hard. And I see that. Like he's at the auction on his computer at 9:00 at night. And I see that in you too. I see that same that same drive. And that's what I've always when I have that, when I kind of fall a little bit like this, he's the one that kind of spikes me up.
Yeah.
And it's that thing you love. You're like, you're talking about the audience is like, well, you got to do it. You got to. You're like, this is all you know. This is what you went for.
It's literally all I know. So look, I'm gonna tell you, I have a lot of confidence, and look, I may not be good at a lot of things, but I'm really good at what I do in the car business. And I have that confidence. I feel like I've earned that confidence, and with the time and the work that I put in, and to get to where I'm at in this business, as young as I am, I feel like I've earned that, and so. But it's a grind. It ain't easy. You got to sacrifice. But
do you
a
do
lot.
It just for yourself, or do you think about others when you do it?
I think about I think about my family. I think about, look, I want to give my family the best life that we possibly could. I want to give my daughter the best life that she possibly could, and but you have to. You're going to sacrifice some of that.
Yeah.
Look, I could go get a 9-to-5 job and make $15 an hour, and but that's just not me. I grind, man. That's what I do. I grind every day, even on my off days. I grind, and it takes a special person to do that. Especially in the business, man. So yeah, salute to that.
That's sick.
But it is, man, and like I say, I do it just especially for my daughter, man. And like I said, she's the most important thing in my life. So that's what I do it for. So.
Do you ever think you would be a car salesman?
Not really. Not really. I never, back then before I started, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was young. I was in college, and I partied. I lived in a fraternity house for years. Like I had no idea what I wanted. I neted thought about that. All I wanted to do was go donate plasma and get, $20 to go drink at the bar that night. I didn't really know. I never really thought about that, cause I was young. And so, I moved out of my house when I was pretty young, and got on my own, and I just never thought about that, and it just happened. It just it's.
Do you consider a car salesman a real career?
I think that I think that you can definitely make a living off of that. But I also think that, one of my biggest things that I think it's really important, and I'll go to the grave with this, especially in the car business, is it's my goal to train somebody to replace me. Like, I want to train and work with somebody to be just as good, if not better than I am. I want somebody to be, a finance manager, a salesperson, a finance manager, a general sales manager, a GM. I want to train somebody to be as good as me, and so I have that ambition with anybody that I meet, anybody that I hire. And, so that's just the way I look at it. That's definitely the way I look at it. So, it's a motto that I've always lived by. Train somebody that can be better that can replace you.
That's actually a good motto.
Just train somebody that can be that can replace you. So
my big thing, now we're moving into the whole TikTok world, a whole different social media. That's not gonna. I mean, you'll call them back. That's not gonna. It doesn't even stop the show.
That's my daughter. Yeah, she FaceTimes. So
okay,
I'll call her back.
So the thing though is, you look at like social media. You look at people like now they want to be influencers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
remember when I did Twitch for a long time. Remember when I did Twitch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there's more grind in Twitch than there is selling cars.
Yeah.
Being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you really definitely got to put in the work. But I always I'll tell people all the time, it's like, your server is a career.
Mm-hmm.
Your salesman is a career. And I look at my dad, shout out Scott Duron,
I love your dad, by the way.
Yeah,
man.
no,
he's the reason why I went to Volkswagen.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
But his lifestyle and his grind is that's his decision.
Yeah,
you get burnt out. Being in the sales world, watching it is a tough life.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, man. It's not easy.
No,
it's hard.
Everybody in that, when you go buy a car, when you're like, okay, that salesperson is attacking, dude, they're just trying to make a living and they want to service you. They want to help you.
Well, like I say, one of my biggest things is I try to change the stigma of sales and the process. I really do, because, especially even when I first started, now things have changed a lot different. But like I say, I want to create that experience for the customer to have a good experience buying a car. I don't want a customer to feel like they're pressured or they're being, latched on to, and things of that nature. That's not how I train my salespeople. I train my salespeople to find out what their hot buttons are, find out what they're looking for, and find out how we can help them as a dealership, and take care of them. And so that's something that I'll always, like I say, I'll always carry with me in this business, because it's about taking care of customers.
So my big thing though too is my first business is cleaning toilets.
Mm-hmm.
And I still do to this day.
Yeah.
And I'll probably keep it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And insurance is my main one.
Yeah.
I love insurance because it's so challenging.
Dude, I can imagine.
Oh man, my brain, I love it because I read on it every morning. I get up and I read. I get up, I'm reading that shit because it changes like a market.
Yeah.
I'll tell people look at it as a market. I'm just there to be your, right there, your middleman. I'm your middleman. When you buy a car, it's kind of like you're the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I'm glad that I learned how to sell cars. I'm glad that, Scott Duron is my dad. That's a cheat code.
Yeah.
Because I got to see the different lifestyle, like the rejection lifestyle, but I look at that now, see friends, I remember my buddy, made fun of me one time because I was making $50,000 a year cleaning toilets when I was 22. And he was a project manager at a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
Making 35, making fun of me for being a janitor.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling out cash one night at Hard Rock, and he didn't have the cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Something's changed here.
So
right? Yeah.
Do you need this title?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need this label? So I'd rather be that janitor. I'd rather always be known as a janitor.
Well, it's hard. It's hard work, man. It's working for what you.
Everything you do,
work,
yeah.
That's it doesn't really matter what your title is, and that's one thing I've learned in life. It doesn't really matter what your title is. I mean, just dude, you'll always be remembered by hard work and what type of grinds that you put it in. Whether if you leave a job or get fired or leave on your own, or whatever, you you're always going to be remembered on, you know, this dude did this, you know, this dude did that, you know, he worked his ass off and he did this. So, you know, that's just, you know, that's one of the things I firmly
I can
believe
see
in,
why
you know?
you're like a G. I can see why you've ranked up so fast. So is the way you care about people and the way you care about the business.
Well, I care about my employees,
Yeah.
and I care about my customers, you know, so that those things are never changed. Doesn't matter where I'm at. It don't matter if I move to California, you know, which I'm not, but you know, it doesn't
Could
really
you?
matter. No, no, shit, no, no. I don't think I'd last very well.
Would
over
you
there,
come back
so.
on the show?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
How
Yeah.
can they find you?
Facebook, right?
Do you have Facebook?
Yeah, I got Facebook. But no, J. Allen Mazda. If they need a vehicle, come see us. You know?
Definitely check out Ryan though. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
and I'll put the links in. But there's a part 2 on this one, and let's dive in the fact though. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a career, and being a salesman is a career. I'm so tired of this shit. I'm just so tired of go to college get for 4 years and you have this the label shit is weird. And you service industry to salesmen. If you just work hard, you can do great things.
Well, you know, being, you know, selling cars, like I said, the stigma has changed a lot, you know, because, you know, a lot of people enjoy it because they help people.
Could you make
You know?
Could you make $100,000 selling cars?
Absolutely.
That's all you need to know, guys. So
Absolutely.
if you're trying to figure out life and you're if you have no idea, maybe selling cars is what you want to do. And this is kind of like why we have a podcast. Like talk about stories. Like if you're thinking about like, well, I need to have this career and you go take more college to do this.
Yeah.
Probably wrong. You just need to work hard and find out like selling cars was really cool for me. Like, I mean, product development, like learning cars. I love cars today. I have a Ford Lightning that you'll never be able to buy.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a Glacier Blue H2 that you'll never be able to buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love cars. And that was fascinating to me. And that's when I kind of loved it. But Dad, I'm sorry, you ruined this for me. I want to do my own thing. Now I'm doing insurance.
Yeah.
But my dad, I have to say, he got it in 92. I think 92 is when he started Glass Motors. Like, you know, it's all about like excitement.
It's exciting, man. It is.
It is a rush.
You know, it is. And you know, like I say, and I like to share the excitement, you know, obviously through my employees, and I want to see them succeed, and I want to see them take care of their families, and you know, but I want to see them take care of customers, because that's probably the biggest excitement that I get out of it. When I see a customer that's happy, you know, we sold a car earlier tonight, and you know, customers just so happy.
Yeah, you should have played, motherfucker.
Yeah, we did. I did. You got to close some late deals, man. So she was so happy. You know, she bought a beautiful, you know, red SUV, and just that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? That taking care of customers, making sure they're happy. That's what it's about.
And guys, we're closing this out with that. Ryan, thank you for coming.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me.